In three, two, one, and action.
Good morning or good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be and whenever you happen to listen to this podcast. This is called the Good Folks Podcast, where we only bring the good folks, young people, public figures, youth entrepreneurs. This podcast is available in audiovisual format on our YouTube channel, but it's also available on in audio format on podcast platforms like Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Cattercats, so just different bunch of platforms that you can check our work there, especially if you are multitasking, if you want to listen to the podcast while doing something else like driving or jogging or before sleeping, or you're in the bus or wherever, you can listen to this podcast in an audio format while working on something else. So please, I want you to welcome with me Mr. Amin. Lamin.
Yes.
Okay. So he has okay. I'm gonna say something and you try to correct me.
Yeah.
So he developed this initiative called Cash Politik.
Cash Politics.
Cash Politik. Show where he brings different political figures, teachers, professors, and he has a conversation with them about different subjects related to Algeria or the world.
Yeah.
They're all in Arabic and they're all available on his YouTube channel, also on his profile on Facebook.
And on Spotify too, because it's actually a podcast.
Oh, okay, also on Spotify. So okay, I'm not gonna take more from this. So I'm just gonna hand it over to you to introduce yourself.
Okay, so my name is Mr. Yahya Mohammed Lamin. So it's
Wow, it's long.
it's so long. So remember, guys, or just call me like Lamin Mistake.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, I'm an assistant professor at university, DBKM University, which means like Jilali Bun Amr Khamis Miliana University. I teach there political science, and I am also a head of department of the same political science in the same faculty, like Faculty of Law and Political Science. I have been like teaching since 6 years right now. Like I had like 2 degrees, one master degree in law, international law, and a PhD in political science. I had also a chance to get like scholarship, small scholarship. It's kind of fellowship. Let's say it's a fellowship where I studied in Syracuse University in Moscow School in Public Affairs. So in New York, so in the United States, and then I moved back to Algeria, and since then I got my job like as a assistant professor. So basically I had during the lockdown in the coronavirus, we were like teaching mostly online, so the courses were online with the students, and I come up with the idea to, let's say, before I talk about this, it's during my university life, like I had the chance like to invite many political science scholars like internationally. But the thing is, in the governmental university, you need more authorities. You need more like agreements. You need
approvals.
Approvals, yes. So basically, most of my initiatives, they were blocked, since maybe also it's about like jealousy from
jealousy.
Jealousy from other professors, like they have a high rank in the university, so they block the initiatives. And other in even in like when you saw or when you watch like TV show in our like public let's say public television, or even in the private television, the let's say the program is so poor. Even the, let's say, the journalist is so poor. He didn't know even about politics, and when he start asking, like he could bring like such big figures, but the thing is, he's not aware about politics, about the field, about, you see. So I think that basically any like journalist should have like a field before to become a journalist.
Yeah.
Like, for example, he can be like majoring in science, and then he will become like journalist in science. He should like know in a field, because you cannot be a journalist of everything. You cannot be
Yeah,
like
definitely.
yeah, sure. So basically, you will be so poor. You can like talk wherever you want, like hey, how are you, and give question. But people knows that you are poor. But even when I invite like such in my show, I come up with the idea to try to make politics like great again. Okay, so basically,
Was it ever great before politics?
no. Since actually, if we are talking about Algerian society right now, they are really politicized. They love politics. When you go to the cafe or wherever, they're speaking, it's only about politics. But the thing is, it's not like professionalized, or let's say it's not regular. It's, I would say, it's a mess. Okay, it's a mess. So what I want, it's just to try to bring initiatives about politics and let them know that there is other levels about politics. What it's not the mess that you know that it's politics.
Yeah, it's not black and white.
Yes. So basically, I get an idea. I start with my network, since I'm like assistant professor. So I have many networks around the world with other scholars about politics and about economy. We do also about sociology, about psychology, wherever, about also philosophy. So basically, I had this idea to create this podcast, and then I moved to the YouTube. It was like starting with the YouTube and switch it to the podcast with on Spotify and Anchor, and I think Google Podcast too. But surely on Spotify and Anchor you can find Cash Politic. So Cash Politic title, it's about many years, like when I was studying politics in ETFC University. I graduated. Actually I studied in two universities in political science. I studied in Tizi Ouzou. I got my magister degree there. My bachelor degree in ETFC and my PhD degree in TTFC. You know ETFC, it's in Ben Aknoun. It's it's not ماشي البابور هذاك ETFC.
Okay, اللي جاي
تحت. So basically, what I want, I forget.
Yeah, you say, when you started your initiative, Cash Politic.
So I get the people around me, around my like في الحومة كده, they know that I study politics. So every time when they meet me, they ask me, oh, Cash Politic, Cash Politic, Cash Politic. So the idea came out from there. So the name of the podcast, Cash Politics, and then
how did they feel? What was their impression? يعني كي شافوك باللي بديت الشو هذاك واسمه كاش بوليتيك وانت ديجا ما في يقولوا لك كاش بوليتيك لقاوك ديجا راني درت لكم برنامج اسمه كاش بوليتيك وزيد تشخصيني خلاص ادخل تسمع
ادخل تسمع ولا ادخل تشوف اليوتيوب. So basically this is it. When they ask me about right now, even in my in my local city, like in Homa or whatever, like in my how to say it, neighborhood, yes, neighborhood, they follow the Cash Politic. They follow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and when I finish, when I get out, they start. Oh, you should do this. You should do that.
شغل اسمه شغل واحد الوقت اللي ما كاين لعب الماتش تاع الجزائر بعد كي خلاص الماتش تلقاهم كاع خرجوا بداو يهضروا.
اي والله شكون لونطرينور قاعد يزونطرينا. بعد تيك شغل the thing is حبيت I want to make as I said politics great again. I tried to bring really good politicians, not politicians, really good political scientists. Okay, so even if you go to see like local interviews here in local channels, they bring some the same narratives. Okay, the narrative they work with the government or they work with other field, but they don't bring the other narrative. You see, the other side. So I try to give the chance to the other side. Basically, recently I could. I made it in 2 seasons. Like season 1 from June, I think. Yeah, from the last of May to the last of June, and then I come back to from the last of July to until now. So it was 2 seasons. I brought like more. I did more than 30, I think, 30 or more. 30, around 30 episodes. I brought like more than 8 or 10 international scholars, starting from Algerian who are like in Beirut, such as like I forgot her name. Sorry, the first one. She was.
I forgot her name too. I mean, I saw. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, from Beirut. She is from Carnegie, actually, of Beirut. Delia Ghanem, this is it. So,
But how do you reach out to such people? Is it usually just through their profiles?
actually, Delia Ghanem, I already know her. I
Okay.
already visit Beirut 2 times, and
So you have her contact.
I met her there, and we were discussing. But before that, I tried to how to say to read almost her works. And then I contacted her. I was in Beirut. I sent her an email on her like a professional email. I said that I have like 1 week here in Beirut, and I want to meet you if you could. And yeah, she invited me in Carnegie, and then she introduced me to other peoples all around, like started networking. And yeah, this is the first one. The second one, it was Horace Campbell. Horace Campbell was like back in Syracuse University, who was the head of Department of African Studies. And basically, Cash Politics, it's around Algeria, which is like the Sahara region.
Yeah, North Africa.
Yeah, North Africa. Basically, also Africa, the Sahara region, the south of Africa. Let's say the south of North Africa.
Yeah.
Sahara and the Sahara, and then all Africa. So this is our, let's say,
Main focus.
what's
Main focus.
yes, the main focus. Even if you have a channel, you have like la ligne directrice of the channel. So this is it. La ligne directrice of my channel, of my podcast. It's almost what's interest Algeria and the neighboring of Algeria. So I did like I invited scholars from Mali. From Mali. I try to invite also. I invite some scholars from Egypt. So
That's very interesting, and you're getting perspectives from different people in different countries.
Yes.
Do you ask them the same questions sometimes just to see if someone thinks about something in a different way, ولا دايما تجيب زعما دي سوجي جدد؟
No, almost it's about let's say if I bring like such a big figure.
Okay.
For example, Alain Deneau, which is a philosopher in Canada, French philosopher in Canada, living in Canada, who wrote like the famous book of Mediocrity, like mediocrity as a system. See, it's not like it's like democracy, but he said that
Mediocracy.
Mediocracy. We are living in time of mediocrity, like in such as you can make
not
it
everywhere. He means.
Actually, he means everywhere. Actually, he said like it's kind of a new system. It's like it's not democracy, it's not like oligarchy. It's mediocrity. So and then he tried to make it in politics, in journalists and media, in also in academia. He said like this system, it could be in every field. Okay, so basically, if I bring like, let's say Alain Deneau, Omar Aktouf, who is like an Algerian, famous Algerian economist, who is a scholar at HEC Montreal. I brought also, I said Horace Campbell from Syracuse, the head of Department of African Study, Marcel Kitissou, also from New York University, and he is also in other university, I forget, where we talked about the history of Africa. such as like written by Africans, because actually the history of Africa is not was not written by Africans. They lie to us many times. For example, there is now let's say a trend of scholars, African scholars, who have this idea of if the story was made by the lions, not by the hunters, it
I was just going to tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a famous example. So
Yeah.
just to explain that to people, they say that history يعني تاريخ راح يبقى give credit يعني كيف نقولوا give credit يعني
يعطي قيمة.
يشكر يعني يشكر الصياد حتى يتعلم الأسد كيف يكتب.
Yeah.
Donc,
This is-
يكتب يعني الهستوار يكتب
Yeah,
شغل
yeah,
الهستوار تاعو.
history.
دونك لايك what it means is that هما الفيكتيمز ماشي هما الفيكتيمز هما اللي يكتبوا الهستوار، هو القوي والقوي يكتبوا على حسب البرسبكتيف تاعو
Yes.
اللي بالك it doesn't apply on the victim at all.
Surely it doesn't apply.
Yeah,
For
sure.
example, I can give you many examples like this. That people say about philosophy, and they say that it starts from the ancient Greeks, and something like that. But the question is where these ancient Greeks were like educated. If you go back to the history, you could find like in Egypt, for example, the Alexandria University. Also from the east, from Confucius history, from Mesopotamian civilization. This civilization should. Why you start from
The Greeks.
From the Greeks and forget about the
Yeah, Mesopotamia يعطوا the cradle of civilization.
yeah. But when the hunters write, they said it's the Greek civilization. They start from it. Yes.
I think also what's very unique about this age is that we have media industry, we have the movies industry. يعطوا لك مم هذوك شغل الدراري صغار هكذا يبداو يتفرجوا كرتونز ولا موفيز، من ذاك يكونوا هيستوريكال موفيز ولا انترستين موفيز وين زعما الكاركترز يكونوا يحوسوا لك عفسه وبعد يروحوا يحوسوا عليها اونلاين وبعد يلقاو الروتس تاعها كانت في ذا جريكس، والجريكس هما الاولين اللي بداو يهضروا عليها وهذه العفسه، هما ماشي الجريكس هما الاولين. وبعد يعطي لك واحد الامبريشن انت كمشاهد باللي واو شغل الجريكس بقوا كبر كانوا يعرفوا بزاف عفايس، تسمى شغل من تما بدات الحكايه، هي ماشي من تما بدات هذيك شغل يعني يور بروموتين only one side. ومالغري بالك هذوك واش كان عندهم الجريكس جات من حضارات واحد اخرين كيما for example Egyptians man like Egyptians were so great.
So big a civilization.
Yeah.
I have just the chance to visit Egypt and move to some museums. There, you know that the chess was created in
Egypt.
The chess, yes.
Wow.
During you know the chair of let's say chaise longue. I don't know how to say it.
The long chair.
The long chair was created in Egypt.
Really?
Yeah.
They were lying while getting sunburns.
Yeah, and even some when we were talking about African history.
Did they have pets?
Yeah, they have. Even well, it was like snakes as a pet.
Wow, that's what I was going to say. They were lying, getting the sunburns while watching the snakes.
Yeah.
No, I mean the snakes, the dogs, the cats. They had like different animals, but I mean people give different interpretation of what they might mean.
Yeah.
Because they used to put them on top of their hats, like for example a snake or the nose of
Eagle also.
Yeah, the
Yes,
eagle
the
also.
eagle, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, they have horses. They can find I mean, nature and the human being. It's a tied relation. It's not a new one. When you asked me about that, I remembered a joke. It's not a joke,
Okay.
but it's a small story happened to me. I was like in US and I met like a friend which she is like American living there, and she worked in the State Department, and she want to move like in U.S. embassy in I think it was in Riyadh, which is like in KSA, which is Saudi Arabia, KSA.
I can see where this is going.
Yeah, and she was like talking to me that Jimmy didn't get a visa. Jimmy didn't get something. I'm horrible. I'm terrified. I have to move like in 20 days, and they didn't give a visa for Jimmy. And I was why? But and I was thinking that Jimmy is a person, but finally is a pet. So
what was Jimmy? Was it a bird?
no, a dog.
A dog.
A dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a dog. Well, Americans are known to have lots of pets.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was at Connecticut, I used to see a lot of people like with their cars. I mean, they're driving. That is the dog is sitting
Dogs,
like near
yeah.
them. Yeah, looking from the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So in your show,
Yeah.
Cash Politics, did you talk about what happened in France recently?
Yeah, actually, I asked Horace Campbell, for example, how the French try to influence us, like Africans.
Oh, you mean French
Yes.
colonization?
Not the French, actually.
Till
until
now?
Till now, which is
Okay.
like the new colonization era. So we figure out that they use like 5 to 6 ways on how to keep the domination on actually on the Western African or Western African area, which is like from Mali, from people maybe don't know that there is until now 14 countries they still use the colonized money from the colonization, which is the franc CFA. And
In Africa?
In Africa, Western Africa, there is more than 14 countries, which is like, and they are in our borders, such as like Niger, Mali. They still use franc CFA. The franc CFA,
It's French currency. يعني قبل اليورو.
Yeah, no. It's a French currency from the colonization.
Okay.
So from the colonization they started, and
صح
they
هم الفرنش
still.
صح هم الفرنش كي جو لتما كانوا يوتيليزيو نفس الموني اللي كانت عندهم in France. يعني the same currency.
No, it's the franc, le franc. But
Yeah.
here it's the franc CFA, which
Wow.
is
تسمى كاين currency تاع الافريكان الفرنش جابوها
Yes.
الافريكانز والكرنسي تاعهم.
Yes. And until now, it was like the French, le franc des colonies françaises, le franc CFA. ونحوا الكولوني وداروا community.
Okay.
Communauté française. هذا ما كان شغل نحوا بس ils ont gardé après l'indépendance, after the independence of those countries, they keep the same currency from the colonization, and until now they don't have the right to print it. It's print the franc CFA. It's printed in France in the
Oh my God.
a small area which is like Chamelier, in Chamelier, and until now who fixed the exchange rate is the France.
The French people.
Yeah, the French government who fixed the exchange rates of those 14 countries. Like for example, they decide of €1 it's equal to 6,000 French. For example, I just give an example.
This is terrible.
Yes, and until now, man, if you use like euro of Spain, you can use it in Germany, right?
Mhm.
To what? To create like an economic exchange between those countries. Otherwise, in Africa, if you can't use like franc CFA of Mali in
franc CFA
in Cameroon, for example, in Cameroon.
Wow.
Yeah, you can't use it because until now the exchange rate from those countries it's around 0%, but from the French to from the French to the colony, it's around 70 to 80 to 90% of economic exchange.
Yeah,
Until
I mean, it's very sad when you see like the whole Middle East. I mean, different groups. But I think but I mean, don't you think that aside from the foreign influence and foreign intervention, sometimes it also saddens me that, of course, we have different groups. For example, in Syria, there are different tribes. In Libya, there are different tribes.
Sure.
In Islam, for example, in let's say Sunnah, let's not talk about Shia.
Yeah.
In Sunnah, there are also different يعني sects. Yeah. It's really sad when they are used. they are used from outside sources, wherever they happen to be, in order to kill each other and fight each other. Yani instead of sitting on a table and talk, like for example, Shia and Sunnah, I think a lot of people benefit from the conflict ما بين الشيعة والسنة. شغل كاين استفادة من الصراع تاعهم. وهما ما فهمش اسكو على بالهم باللي كانوا يستفادوا كان شكون تتلاقى بواحد يهضر لك على هذوك وفيهم بعد الاخر وهذوك فيهم انا لايك عبالك باللي نتوما واش راكم ديروا هكذا كاين واحد اخرين راهم يستفادوا منكم راهم حابينكم تبقاو هكذا. I think what the French colonization differently is that he spread ignorance يعني دار الجهل educated people elite النخبة خدمهم شغل كان بار اكزومبل ينحي لي سكولز هذوك تاع عربيه ويدير سكولز ان فرنش وذ كوريكولوم ان فرنش يتسمى هذيك شغل استراتيجيه بعد النخبه اللي يطلعوا لك شغل هذاك واش يعرفوا كون جاي يعرفوا واحد اخر ماشي معناتها غير وطنيين يقدروا يكونوا وطنيين مش غير انفلونسد يعني حبيتوا لك راه غير انفلونسد يعني انت بار اكزومبل كي زعما تعرف غير الجزائر تولي تخمم كوم جزائري ما تقدرش تخمم بطريقه واحده اخرى باسكو راك حياتك كومبلي غير في الجزائر دونك انت كيعلموك كي هما يعطوا لك سكول يهضر بالفرنسيه والاستراتيجي يعني الميثودولوجي تاع تيتشين ثان اتس فرنش اند ايفريثينغ ان فرنش راح تبقى تخمم في هذاك الاطار ومن بعد موم افتر ذا اندبندنس بروبليم دائما اي تيل بيبل ذات وي ديدنت هاف ا تشويس كي تقول لي على الاوثرز تاعنا الجيريانز تقول لي باللي كانوا يهضروا اون فرونسي they didn't have a choice there is also like I think a famous author Algerian author who said that I wish I could speak with my own language because she used to write in French.
Yeah, true.
So she said that's all I know.
People they don't know that in the 80s, like exactly in the 80s, 53. After 20 or around 20 years after the French colonization colonized Algeria, they did a law. They made the Arabic as a foreign language in Algeria.
What?
Yes. It was written in history. So the 1853, since 1853 until now, is still during, let's say, I'm talking in the top level, like institutions, okay? Because when you go back to the Algerian history, you can find like agreement with Washington, or it's written in Arabic and Washington in English, okay? You can find, so the official language in Algeria back time, it was Arabic, okay? So then, after this law, they made it like foreign language, even in like in the institutional level, which is like official level. This is it, and until now, is still like they have why, for example, why you did this last constitution in French? I didn't understand why. Did they?
You mean the draft?
Yes. Even all the constitutions you can find from the 63 until now you can find them in French.
Yeah, I think their perspective. I'm not sure about that. What their perspective is. So I think that certain people think that بس حماك بلي كاين ديز الجيريان عربيه تاعهم عيانه ما يفهموش عربيه مليح يعني يفهم درجه بس عربيه فصحى ما يفهمش مليح.
مقبله هضرنا واحد الهضره قلت لي the law the law when we did the law we did it for the majority not for the minority.
هذه هي مرة ذاك والله غير فاك عبس المرة اللي فاتت كنت نهضر مع واحد على جل واحد السيجي قلت له علاش حنا نعيشوا بكم انا ماشي نتوما تعيشوا فينا نتوما اللي ما تعيشوا فينا ماشي حنا كمينوريتيز هذوك بدير على جالهم
بصح شو نعطيك اكزامبل حنا نحبوا بزاف ليكزامبل تاع فرنسا when we go back to the French to the France they have like for example 6 million of immigrants, right? Even this word, basically, if we go back to philosophy now, about the word immigrants, why when people from the south go to the north countries, they are called immigrants, and people from the north, when they come to the south, they are called expats.
Expats?
Yes.
Or visitors or...
They are not talking. They are not like named as immigrants. You see, this is
that's inside Algeria.
It's all
over the world.
Yeah, all over the world. People. Let's say the white people. Let's say it. The white people. The Western.
Wait a minute. So I think I understand why. يعني على الاقل بسك شغل نهضروا ماشي نهضروا على ما جنراليزيشن بصح الماجوريتي تاع الناس اللي يروحوا النورث they're immigrants like they want to maybe benefit from life conditions jobs education whatever most people اللي يجوا في الاخر يجوا as I don't know like because they wanted to visit the country or
people, the foreign people here in Hassi Mas'oud, for example, they are
no
here
I'm
for
talking about in
visiting.
Algeria I'm not talking about in Algeria
Yeah.
I'm talking in the world
Yeah.
يعني الناس اللي يروحوا يجوا
No, it's
لأفريقيا
actually since let's say there is a kind of pyramidal system in international system. People in the top, which is like the white people, there is some kind of supremacy of the white people, like Western people, and they see us
inferior
inferior, and even like a category of animals, because who are immigrants? Like we can say like birth, they immigrate from state to state and go to an area to another area. So it's kind of
So it really depends. For example, in the United States, the country was built on immigrants, and most of the immigrants came from Europe. Machine most. No, I'm not going to make that mistake. But a lot of people came from Europe, and they were running out of poverty.
I'm talking about European people actually.
غير Europe, Africa.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about people from the south because I'm using like some political terminology.
Okay.
But let's say it like in the media, mass media. What's
Whatever.
What's people know, like there is developed countries. Okay, there is developed countries and there is underdeveloped countries. And the question is, they are developed because there is an international system. They make us underdeveloped. You see. For example, we are talking about like 400 years of slaves.
Slavery.
Slavery, yes, of slavery. 200 years of colonization. And then we are talking about 1 or maybe 100 years of neo-colonization. Until now, we are living it right now. So this international system, it's a pyramidal system. There is people from the top, and they want to keep themselves on the top. Okay?
Noam Chomsky said that last time when you were. I heard him. Yeah.
So basically, if my guess as like my scholars in cash politics, basically I bring people who are let's say in the international world knows as a left thing.
Yeah, the left. Why don't you bring the right people, the right wingers?
They have CNN.
They have CNN. CNN is for the left. CNN is for the left. You mean the Fox News?
Fox News. They have also CNN before it was.
No, but it's also. I think it would be very interesting to bring. But the thing, I don't know. Maybe they would accuse you of spreading some bad opinions because that's. يعني أنا وش حبيت نقول لك باللي you can jump right from the right ما لقى أنت you disagree يعني with their opinions بصح مليحة للناس to discover different opinions وبعد يقدروا يعيروا بالك أقل تجيهم يعني bare arguments.
Yeah, I think so, but
بصح تخاف الناس يقولوا لك باللي أنت راك تشهر بهذوك الopinions وأنت you don't agree with them أنت برك راك حاب شغل تحكم لي the two sides.
Sure. There is a quote from Robert Cox, who is like a famous scholar in critical thinking theory. He said like theory or let's say media or books or whatever. Theory is always for something or someone. There is no objectivity. Objectivity, it's like it's not true. It's a bad things. It's wrong. It's a mistake. It's a lie. Okay, this is it. There is
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
I do believe.
I'm going to tell you why. There is a psychologist called Steven Pinker. He's from I think Harvard University. But anyway, he was talking once علاش كيفاش الناس يقدروا شغل يولوا close minded. ما يقدروش شغل ما يقدروش يكونوا شغل شويه open minded. كان يقول باللي الناس اللي يعيشوا شفت انت زعما باغ اكزومبل كي تعيش في بلاصه جامي خرجت منها شغل تولي مخك يدور غير في ذيك البلاصه بصح قد ما شغل تخرج قد ما شغل تزيد توسع هضر هكذاك ميم على ايدياز قال الناس اللي يكونوا introduced to only certain ideas تبان لهم بلي هذاك واش كاين كاين واحد الارغيومنت حسبت لهم هذاك واش كاين ارغيومنت وما كاش اللي يهضروا على الارغيومنت هذيك ما كاش باغ اكزومبل زعما نوم تشومسكي تقول بلي نوم تشومسكي هو ذا بيست he's one of the best. بصح كي تسمع غير نوم تشومسكي بالك ما تيماجينيش بلي كاين عباد اخرين ريبوندو على نوم تشومسكي، كاين عباد ديزاغريد وذ هيم وكتبوا عفسه وبالك they were right وبالك هو قرا لهم وبعد بالك هو change his opinion. المهم اسونسيال مليح هذيك الدايفرسيتي تاع ثينكين باش ماشي باش يو جيت انفلونسد، باش على الاقل تعرف تخمم باش موراها ماشي واحد يسوقك. باسكو لما هي الميديا هي اداه يعني انفلونس نهار تعطي لهم غير واحد النوع واحد يتسمى يولوا الناس يمشوا غير في هذيك الجهه.
هي في الحقيقه there is really interesting books about the responsibility of the intellectual. Actually, if there is two type of intellectuals, the intellectuals who are كما احنا نقولوا مع الواقف, and there is intellectuals who are fighting for the poor. Okay. Right now شكون اللي راهو الواقف؟ Right now it's a neoliberalism. Like we are talking about an international system, like where the private sector who ran the world. The private sector actually who runs the world. For example, I was shocked to know that in any country they have like a central bank. Okay, in any country they have central bank, la Banque Centrale. This bank is related to the Fed, the Federal Reserve of America, I think. So the Fed, when we say it's related to the Fed after the World War II, when we say the Fed, we think that it's a governmental agency, which is not. It was created by 7 private banks, from like Chase, Morgan, and Rockefeller, and something. So when you know this, so how could say that people such as like you give an example of the University of Harvard, and I said the responsibility of the intellectuals. Now, right now, some intellectuals are justifying this through theories, through whatever books, articles, and they are fighting this. And for example, like Noam Chomsky, who is, I think he was fired recently from the MIT. He's now moved to the
Really?
Yeah, Arizona.
Why?
I think about his opinions. Yes, his opinions. So basically, for example, I know I was like I had the chance.
But most of universities are usually liberals, are run by liberals. Most of US universities.
Most of them, but not all of them. No, not all of them. For example, I invite Lina Ben Abdullah, who is like a scholar in I forget the university, the name of the university, and she told me that I had the chance that this university it's more about neo-colonialism theory and it's the only international theory brought from the South. We have different international theory. All of them from I'm talking about my field, which is politics. All of them it's the Western theories, but we have only one from the South, such as like brought from Samir Amin, brought from Walter Rodney, who is like from Jamaica, who wrote like a wonderful book. I advise anyone who wants to read it. It's How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, which is like we can switch the title, How Africa Developed Europe.
Yeah.
So I think there is a problem.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm going to fix it.
So I think we had right now a responsibility for making people aware about the dangerous thing about neoliberalism. We are seeing like the what's happening in the climate change, the problem of also the gap between the poor and the rich. You know, in the coronavirus, how many people get
do you think
rich?
it's us who should get that education? عمرك باللي when I went to Sweden for example في واحد البروجرام تاع YLVP جابوا لنا واحدة فاسيليتيتور شغل باش دير لنا ورك شوب بدات تحكي لنا علاش كيفاش الوايت بيبل غزاو العالم واستعبدوا افريقيا وهذه وكاين مينوريتيز وهذه and I'm like why are you telling me that? I mean, tell it to the United Nations ولا ما على باليش. الناس اللي راهم أنا وش حندير؟ أنا خلاص أنا عرفتك حاب نعاود نولي لك شغل بلادي و I feel like a victim ونبدأ نبكي ونبارطاجي وشوفوا. I don't want to do that. I want you to teach me some skills اللي كيف نعاود نولي on top.
Sure, it's happened to me even in Syracuse University. They brought us one of the famous scholar, I forget his name, and he start like giving us what's happening in the MENA region. And in the end of his class, I raised my hand. I said, you know, it's not about your subject it's really good, but it's during a wrong audience. We are living in MENA, and we know well
Our problems.
Yeah, our problems. So I think it was a wrong audience, and I found also there is another artist who write like American who knows the truth, or Americans who said the truth. You can find it on Google, and Americans said the truth, and he said like he gave a speech about it, and I think I asked him a question, so kind of do you think that only American said the truth, like or there is only an American truth? So why about I mean, you see the other's narrative.
Yeah.
What's about the other narratives?
Right.
So yeah. So I don't know, in cash politics, I try to bring the other narrative. You see, there is what's happening in mass media. It's only about neoliberalism. They bring like theories about, for example, for management, leadership, even what we get in like training, some kind of leadership about. I have a problem with names actually.
That's okay.
Yeah, but motivation, something. This theories is like set up by people who are making this system works, and they are making it for the continuity of this system, because there is a big gap between the poor and the rich. Until now, there is a report like from an NGO, UK NGO, which is a famous NGO. I forget also its name.
It's okay.
But in their report, they said like we have 68 people who have like more than 80% of the wealth of the world. 68 people right now in 2018. A report was written in 2018.
Did you hear about Jordan Peterson?
No.
You did not?
No.
Well, he speaks about all those subjects, but I think that if you listen to him, maybe you will say that he is justifying. But some of what he says makes sense, to be honest. He says, for example, people mention these statistics. He said that people mention these statistics, especially young people, and they say, look at this, كيفاش هما عندهم. But when you look at those really rich people, usually they are all in the 70s or 80s. They're really, really old. And if you go to them and you say, would you trade, exchange all the money that you have with youth, for example, they would say, yeah, take all what I want. أقدر أرجعني, for example, 20 years old, 30 years old, ولا 35 or whatever. باش وصلوا لتما, it was years and years and years and years باش وصلوا لهذيك المرحلة وين عندهم شغل كاع هذاك الwealth. And maybe they don't enjoy it the way that you think or you would enjoy it, but whatever. And I always tell people that imagine, for example, you're working, هو على كل حال يهدر في الهيه ماشي هنا, يقول لهم par exemple per hour عندك $15 per hour, imagine وكان جيت تخدم كل يوم وماكش you're wasting your time, على عامين شحال راح يكون عندك دراهم, بدا يطلع في الحساب يقول you would be like a millionaire. بصح الناس ما يخموش هكذا about what they can do. They think only about شغل هذو rich people in the world وراهم حاكمين. هو على كل حال هو he addresses more university students who are very liberals و these activists وهذوك شغل that instead of yelling at the world that it is not organized, yell at yourself and organize your room and fix and organize your time. وشغل بدأ بهذوك المسؤوليات تاعك اللي عندك في حياتك, وبعد كي تكملهم شغل روح لقضايا تاع العالم. بس كنت إذا في النطاق تاعك صغير ما قدرش تسقم روحك, who the hell are you to تعطينا درس على العالم كيف لازم يصير.
So I was saying before those intellectual who want to, the continuity of the system. Like
Yeah, I'm not sure if you would think of it like that or not.
So basically, I'm not sure that 68 people can have the more than 80% of the wealth of the people, like more, and like in the other hand, you have more than 7 billion. So, for example, when we say like CEO, like go, do you think that their salary are justified? Like if we are taken like Jeff Bezos, Amazon, how during the coronavirus?
They made a lot of money.
Yes. So,
Is it triple or double?
I don't know. Actually, I don't have the. My mind can't understand
Okay,
this.
can you remember? Yeah. But I know that they made a lot of money. Yeah, they made a lot of
Yeah,
money.
but their workers, who did the work, actually.
They still get paid the same. The
You
same as the
see,
rest.
you see. So you cannot say that people they don't.
So why would
They are not working. They are working hard. But this system, it's. I think it's the new slavery, a new system of slavery. Like they give you, it was like the same system during, but more modernized.
So what do you suggest?
I think the first step is to make people aware about that, because people are not aware about it. So
Do you suggest the government هي اللي تفرسيهم باش يعطيوا الامبلويز كي يربحوا أكثر؟
no, for us, alhamdulillah, we have like we try to make our government try to make like social democracy. Try actually try to if you talk about, if you study the Algerian society, there is no such a huge gap between the rich and the middle class and the poor. There is no such big gap. Rather than if you go to the United States, it's a big and a huge gap between the homeless and between the middle class and also the rich. So because if you see that 80% of the workers here, well, in Algeria we have around like 12 million workers. Most of them work in the public sector, and also the other sector, private sector. But even for the public sector, the salary basically are the same. There is no, you can actually, there is an article in the Constitution, I forget which the number, but they said directly you cannot be rich in the public sector, directly. So if you want to get rich, don't try to go to the public sector,
yeah.
okay? Otherwise, if you want to go, you start stealing.
Yeah.
Okay, but in the private sector, there is also no big gap between the poor and the rich.
Right.
So in our country, it's alhamdulillah, we try to make it like a social democracy, take care of each others. For example, I can ask you a question here in Algeria. If you don't work, you can eat, but in the US, if you don't work, you
Yeah.
can't eat. Okay?
True.
So, yeah, I don't know.
So your YouTube channel is called Cash Politique?
No, it's called Lamine Mistek.
Okay, so check Lamine Mistek YouTube channel. You're gonna find his show. Yeah, man, thank you so much for accepting the invitation.
You're welcome.
I hope that you guys enjoyed. That's all for this podcast. Take care of yourselves and have a good day. Bye.
Bye.